Hey, True Believers England team here. So the Marvels trailer drops. We can't show any of it because I messed up at the Oscars. So we have a strike we have to wait for to come off before I take any risks with copyrighted materials. But we do want to talk about it here with Dalton, the Authenticator.
Hi, folks.
Okay, so you said, hey, you want to talk about this. So obviously you have strong thoughts on it. Overall, we'll talk about what we've seen. I've got the trailer open so we could even go through it if we want. But I liked it. I was watching it. I'm like, oh, wow, that looks fun. So what are your thoughts? What are your extreme takes on this?
This is probably going to be Marvel's Birds of Prey, or Marvel's equivalent to Birds of Prey.
Okay, so you think this one's going to be really not just a bomb, but this is going to suck.
I suspect so. There's just too many disparate elements, none of which really work well together, and various different reasons why the fan base doesn't either, apathetically doesn't care about what is going on, or actively disdains to care what's going on. And I think this is going to be vindication for the likes of us. Remember when the first Captain Marvel came out and we were like, this is likely going to bomb because all the reasons that it obviously should have. But it was saved by the fact that it came out between Infinity War and Endgame, and they kept marketing it as though it was going to be meaningful and important to Endgame. Well, in the absence of a massive event like that, this is basically going to be a judgment of how much people actually like or care about Brie Larson's Captain Marvel.
It's more than just Brie Larson's Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I know, but how much of a saving grace do you expect Monica and Kamala to be? Because here's the other thing. Even though people prefer Monica well and truly over Carol Danvers, there's a lot of people who are still mad at her over two things. Thing one, she let Wanda off the hook in WandaVision rather than going after her General Ross style. And thing two, she was instrumental in the pissing all over fan theories over the Evan Peters thing with the boner joke that will never leave my head.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. I don't think that they are the problem. And if you notice during the preview, they show Brie Larson, but except for they don't really give her much to say in the trailer.
Yeah, it's very obvious they knew upon which side this bread was buttered. But even so, whether you liked Miss Marvel the show or not, there were a lot of writing problems with it, and not a lot of people showed up to watch it in the first place. So
I enjoyed it. I like the Ms. Marvel TV show. It was fun, entertaining.
Which is why I added the modifier there.
It was I thought it was just irreverent. I thought it was its own thing up until the very end where she's thrust into the Marvels. Ms. Marvel existed in her own story. It wasn't
little pocket of
it was thing, exactly what you need, what we need Marvel movies to be, because it acknowledged the outside world without bringing it into that world. And so I gotta admit, I had a great time with the TV show. And I like the fact that a lot of the humor, unfortunately, I see on Twitter already, people are going after the humor, but a lot of the humor, as far as dialogue is concerned, is coming from Kamala Khan and not the other characters. There is some slapstick beyond that. Of course, Carol Danvers being thrown around because she's popping in and out. For those of you who haven't seen it, spoiling the trailer, turns out that all of their powers are intertwined. So when they're in the same area or something, or when they use the powers for some reason, they kind of shift. So it looks like if she used her power, Ms. Marvel used her powers, so her and Carol Danvers
swap
places, And that seems to be where the thrust of the story plus a lot of the humor comes from.
And while we're here, let me just address that, because
Oh, hey Ash, how's it going?
everyone who's a fan of these channels knows me well enough to know that my niche is the mystical / cosmic niche. That this is my sort of area of expertise, and I can't figure out for the life of me, even having watched Miss Marvel and WandaVision and unfortunately Captain Marvel, having done all the necessary legwork to presumably get this, I'm still sitting there going, comics aren't helping me here. The stuff that they've set up in the MCU itself isn't helping me here. What the actual hell is going on? And if I, the die-hard fan of all things, cosmic and mystical within the superhero space, am confused and befuddled and thinking it's nonsensical, how the hell are they going to sell this to normies, fans of other parts of the various superhero universes, or just casual moviegoers? Like,
I think it might work in your disservice, because you're looking for the story. You're looking for something you've already experienced. Gail watched.
No, I'm looking for the how the hell does this work mechanically is what I'm looking for, and
yeah,
I'm not.
Let the story take you, man. Seriously, I for one
need something logical to sink my teeth into, or otherwise I shut down. So I need to understand at least the broad strokes of how the mechanics work here.
This is a 1.5-minute teaser trailer, so that's not the full trailer. It's not a story trailer, but you get an idea of what's going on. The story starts out, the trailer starts out. We see Nick Fury. He's in Saber's watchtower, and we see Monica Rambeau kind of blown in, like, not that she's transported to a planet of some sorts, and a person in a spacesuit is flying towards Nick Fury. He's like, Monica? And it's Kamala Khan. She's screaming, and she goes, oh, you're Nick Fury. Hi. And, is this an Avengers test? Which, once again, the humor seems to bother people. It's Marvel. Marvel has these jokes all over the place, whether you like them or not. But
it's not that they're jokes all over the place. It's that most of the jokes, at least in the context of the trailer, which, again, trailers edit things, so asterisk, but at least in the context of the trailers, the humor came off as more annoying than it did funny to me.
Okay, well, yeah, I had no problem with it. It was okay. I discovered what it was about, and I was like, okay, so a lot of the humor is going to come from them finding themselves in situations they shouldn't be. Plus, Kamala Khan is not a astronaut or jet fighter. Superhero. Yeah, she's a little girl who found herself with superpowers and ended up in a superhero battle at the end of her TV show. So it's a lot different. She's a lot different character thrown in here. And I have a
smartly,
feeling,
I think they're having Captain Marvel play the straight woman, because the woman just doesn't have facial expressions to save her life.
She's not that kind of actress, and that's why I thought
so
the Captain Marvel movie was bad. They kept saying in the Captain Marvel movie that you're
overly expressive and overly emotional.
She's not. She's just she's a good actress, but she does a lot of her acting with her eyes, and as far as expression is concerned and such. So and
the character is perpetually angry anyway, at least how they've written her. So having her be the straight man and be annoyed at all the shenanigans, that at least could work. She's still not likable though, so that's
I don't know. We haven't seen enough yet. She does seem to be a little bit more lighthearted just from the small things we've seen. I'll tell you what, they finally gave her a suit she looks good in. At least that.
Yeah, they helped. It helped the design a lot, even though that apparently ticked off Brie Larson that she was forced into the state of being eye candy.
Well, scar yourself. I'm sorry, but let's say what you will about her acting ability. I think she's a good actress. I just think she wasn't good for Captain Marvel. But she's an attractive woman. If she doesn't want to be eye candy, she's got to do something about the face. you know, blimp out.
Well,
whatever,
the reasoning is always the stock standard feminist. Ooh,
Oh yeah,
when
it's
men look
the
at me,
male
it
gaze and
victimizes
all
me.
that.
Yada 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 bullshit.
But the thing is it's that's a ridiculous. The male gaze is one of the dumbest phrases ever.
Yeah, no, it's beyond
because at
stupid.
one point in time, it was chubby chicks. There's a whole bunch of art that shows, hey, you know, we like this, and now we like that, and now we like that. If you change your body to fit the male gaze, and all women all at once did this, the male gaze would shift to whatever that was. I'm sorry, men like women, women like men. You know, it's just the way it is.
Well, in theory, anyway.
Horrible thing. Well, obviously there is exception, as I am talking to one, but the thing is.
Well, I just meant all the misandrist women who like ideologically despise men on a visceral standpoint. I wasn't even thinking of sexuality at that moment. I was thinking of all the misandric women, but never mind. And the fact that they've actually done studies that suggest while men have an out-group preference, i.e. they would rather spend time with women actually tend to have an in-group preference and would rather spend time with other women rather than men, because a lot of women see men as a means to an end rather than an end in itself.
Right.
Which is disparaging, but that gets off into men's rightsville, and it's far beyond the scope of this particular live stream.
I know, but okay, so it's basically it's going to be kind of a farcical thing. This movie looks to be. I for one, like I said, I watched the trailer. I said this looks fun, and it does. It looks like it is a good time to be had. I'm hoping I'm right, but this is a teaser trailer. Whether or not it ends up being Captain Marvel 2, then I'll be wrong and I'll admit it. But yeah, so far it looks good.
See, I felt like most of the humor didn't land, so that wasn't working for me. And I honestly think that, especially given how divisive the first one was, cooling it with the humor for a movie or two wouldn't have killed them, and it might have given people something to grab onto with regards to Captain Marvel's character, to actually see her go through A, some emotions, and B, possibly some suffering.
Yeah.
Because the biggest problem with her is that she is, both the character and apparently also the actress, are unnecessarily confrontational to a fault.
Yeah, I could see that. It's like she does have to get over that. They should write her as a person rather than a caricature. I do have to say, and I want to move forward a little bit into the trailer. There is the cat, the Flurkin. Okay, apparently there's going to be more than one. I actually liked the scene. I expected it. I actually saw it coming, where she's like, oh, and because she sees a cat in space, and then it with the tentacles, and she starts screaming. I like that scene, but also it seems like there's a scene where there's just a hell of a lot of them. And I was like, okay, so what's going on here? I wasn't exactly a fan of the Flurkin in the Captain Marvel movie, but I'm wondering how much of me not being a fan of anything in the Captain Marvel movie is because it was in that fucking movie, and that movie was really bad.
R.I.P. the serious dramatic moment from Winter Soldier, though, with Nick Fury's eye, because no one is ever taking that seriously again.
Last time I trusted somebody, I lost an eye. It's a cat. Yeah.
It's a random space cat that, for plot convenience's sake, didn't like you for whatever reason.
Yeah, that was weird, but it made me interested. It made me I want to see this movie. I like I said, I looked on Twitter and I see everybody's doing the same old thing. That's why I titled this the way it is the Marvels is doomed, dead, maybe constipated. It's just one thing, it at least will be horrible. It's the MCU returns. I've seen everything. It's in
I think regardless of people's reaction to the actual content of the movie, it's probably not going to do well financially, because you've got two characters from shows that people either didn't like or don't really have much of a feeling for one way or the other. And then you've got Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, who this time is standing on her own without the shadow of a big,
Yeah, you
generation
are making a good
changing
point. You
movie
are
to
making a good point.
buoy her up. So
WandaVision is a very divisive show. You have people like me who really love it, and then you have people who really hate it. Nary a person who's standing in the middle going, what are you guys arguing about?
well, I am kind of in the middle because the reasons I don't like it have very little to do with the reasons a lot of the black pills don't like it. And I'm actually like I'm in a weird space because I'm less sympathetic to Wanda than apparently the bunch of Wanda stans that there are
Yeah.
for whatever reason who think that she literally did nothing wrong in WandaVision.
Oh, I
But
think no, she's absolute villain. There is no bringing her back as
but
a
I,
hero.
but I'm not all the way over on the black pill side where why is she doing this just for her fake kids? It doesn't matter that the kids are fake because she's still emotionally attached to them. If everything meaningful in your life turned out to be some kind of schizophrenic delusion and you woke up in a mental institution, I can't imagine you would be able to get over it in 5 seconds either. Especially not if, say, a demonic MacGuffin was whispering in your ear the whole time.
Let me get some comments here now that we've spoken a little bit. We've actually spoken for 16 minutes on a 2-minute trailer. Professor Stranglefinger saying, I've begun to feel over it with superhero movies. You know what? Don't get me on that freaking rant. You're just wrong. You're just wrong. And you know what? I'm going to throw in entitled and privileged as well. Once again, you know what? I'm on the rant. Okay. I sat through freaking 40 years to get us here. 37 years. No, I'm sorry. Iron Man, 38 years. 38 years of freaking romantic comedies, freaking buddy comedies, the same goddamn movies put out every year. Do you know what? We got very sparse just entries into the superhero. I mean, really, we got Superman 1, 2, 3, and 4. We got Batman. We got those 4 films, and then we got like Steel and 2 Blade movies, and we got
Spawn and Punisher, and
we got maybe 15 or 20 movies in 37 years. But how many freaking romantic comedies do we get? How many freaking cop buddy movies did we get?
There are more bad horror movies in January alone than there are superhero movies in the entire
women sitting out a window
genre
holding a cup of coffee staring at things. How many freaking French bullshit? You know what? I sat through so many goddamn tropes, slasher films, the whole 9 yards. And what we didn't get is, oh, are you feeling 27 dresses fatigue? Yes. Do you know what I want? More superhero movies. Now that we're getting more superhero movies, every goddamn time one's released, and I mean for the last 8 years, 8 years worth of, are you over superhero movies yet? Go yourself. Seriously.
It's because they want superhero movies to fail for whatever reason.
You're not tired of freaking superhero movies. What you're tired of is Kevin Feige treating it like a freaking franchise and making every goddamn movie look exactly like the last one. Let them have their own feeling. Let them have their own cinematography. Don't give me this, I'm over superhero movies until if you wrote a blog or something about 15 years ago, I'm over buddy cop films. Okay, then maybe you've got a leg to stand on, but you know what? No, I'm sorry. This bullshit has gone on for freaking 8 years. I'm finally getting the movies I want, and all I freaking hear every time one is well, this sucks because MCU. Oh no, I'm over superhero movies because they're all the same. No, just go. No. That
being said, and while I broad strokes agree with you, Anglantine, I think there are times when you are somewhat blind to the quality variable, and I
could see a bad one from a good one. I'm not blind to. I don't automatically accept everything, but you know what? Just like romantic comedies, just like buddy cop films, just like horror films, just like any other freaking trope movie that we've gotten. We got before freaking Iron Man and Dark Knight shows up. You get your goods, you get your bad, you get them both. There you have the facts of life. It is just the way it is. Let the next one come. The next one may be better. The next one may be worse, but let the next one come. End of story. There you go. I'm sorry. That's my rant because nobody does this. Nobody does this for any other goddamn genre of film.
Yeah,
Nobody does that.
And I broadly agree with you on that point. There are more bad horror movies in January alone than there are superhero movies in the entire year. 6 movies that happen to make billions of dollars aren't oversaturating the market just because they make a bunch of money. They make a bunch of money normally because they deserve to, and recently the quality has gone down, I will admit to that, but let's actually address the part of the argument that makes sense to address, namely the quality issue. I want better superhero movies. That's why I judge the bad ones as harshly as I do, because I know that the more bad movies we put up with in the short term, the quicker the genre is going to die, and I don't want the genre to freaking die. So I will hold them to higher standards.
I haven't done the math on this, but I will bet you statistically, that might not be the right word, that season 4 is either as good as or better than, or phase 4 is as good as or better than phase 2.
And while I see your point there, the problem is phase 2 into phase 3 was a build up. Phase 3 into phase 4 is a come down, and that's why it's more noticeable.
Oh, by the way, Maranya is not here to do the whole the Germans are bombing Pearl Harbor kind of thing. But yeah, there you go. That's my rant. Yeah, I was almost angry about that last Thor. Oh my gosh, that last. You know what? That last Thor movie is something to be angry about. That is something to be angry about. One thing that is actually going, and I'll give you to the, you're talking about the quality thing. I'll give you this. It seems like up to a certain point, they were willing to respect the characters. And I think one of the things that happened in phase 4 was that. Now, I will say, I saw it. This is the channel. We talk about the movies. We talk about the comics. I saw a lot of people saying after Endgame, I'm done. And the phase 4 started. People had
people's weird obsession with, well, we made it to the end of one storyline, therefore the entire genre is over now. It's just silly. Yeah. It's silly. Like, so well, we got to the end of one storyline, therefore the entire genre needs to pack up and go home now. No, guys.
They may have made a mistake starting with WandaVision. I'm not saying WandaVision was a mistake. I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I thought the way they hid clues as to what was going on throughout the episodes, incredible. But it wasn't as accessible as Loki or even Falcon and the Snowman. It wasn't immediately recognizable. Falcon and the Snowman would have been probably a better start to phase 4 because it's more of a straight up action rather than WandaVision, which was kind of a mind.
Now, I disagree because, for one thing, I've seen a lot of people say that WandaVision is still among the best shows that
I think so. I actually think WandaVision is one of the better MCU outlets.
And two, a lot of people were on board with WandaVision right up until the end episode where Marvel did the rug pull on the, oh, by the way, that Evan Peters thing that we've been setting up for 5 freaking episodes, it doesn't matter. And in fact, we just trolled you. And oh, by the way, this isn't going to matter ultimately in the long run. And oh, by the way, even though it makes perfect sense to have Doctor Strange here, and we originally planned to have Doctor Strange here to help Wanda deal with her grief and act as an intervention, like, you know, a professional neurosurgeon turned professional sorcerer would do in this situation, and we decided not to because feminist reasons and so on and so on and so forth. So I think a lot of people's problems with WandaVision are colored by how horribly it ended. And I know that's true for me in a lot of ways. That being said, I'm still looking forward to Agatha Coven of Chaos because Agatha, in retrospect, having now dealt with all of the rug pulls and all of the bait and switches and so on, Agatha was pretty much the only reason to watch the show.
No, she's not the only, but I'm glad that they moved a little bit quick to get her a show. Austin, you're on movie. You're on the movie channel. Go over to the comics channel. We're double thing. yeah, whatever.
We are multi-posting.
Yeah,
I believe the
unfortunately,
actual word.
because we got a community hit, not a community, but a copyright hit when I was watching the Oscars. We're not showing the trailer.
Okay,
Let's see.
I have to address what Ash just said, because this point is driving me nuts. So here's my spends 10 minutes ranting about a thing that you just did. Ash, he has not yet been Sorcerer Supreme in the MCU. Ever. There is no point in the MCU that we have ever had it confirmed that he is Sorcerer Supreme, because his arc is still in progress. Okay? The only title we've seen him occupy as yet, confirmed, is Master of the New York Sanctum. He was not Sorcerer Supreme in Infinity War.
Really? I thought in Thor it was mentioned that he was the Sorcerer Supreme.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take your word for it because you pay more attention to that. But.
He is not Master. He is not Sorcerer Supreme yet, because at the end of Doctor Strange, he was not Sorcerer Supreme, because Wong specifically says the Earth has no Sorcerer Supreme to defend it. In Thor Ragnarok, he is not yet Sorcerer Supreme. We see Thor land in New York, and Thor goes to the New York Sanctum. It makes sense Strange is there, but it does not mean he is Sorcerer Supreme yet. And nowhere in Infinity War does it imply he is yet Sorcerer Supreme. Very clearly, what happened was, whatever mechanism that allows someone to be elected Sorcerer Supreme happened in the intervening 5 years when Strange wasn't around, and Wong, being the most experienced and masterful sorcerer apart from Steven at that point, except for maybe Mordo, but he went evil, took the title. As Strange alludes to in No Way Home, he got it on a technicality because I was blitzed for 5 years. That means to me, given that we had it confirmed nowhere that he was Sorcerer Supreme up until that point, that whatever mechanism triggers, electing a new Sorcerer Supreme happened in the intervening 5 years when Strange wasn't around. It does not mean he had the title and lost it. It means he never had it to begin with, because his arc is still in progress.
Let me highlight
end of the rant.
Let me highlight something Ash is saying. Usually I don't do this without a super chat, but WandaVision was very good, but it was very unorthodox, not really what MCU fans want, which is exactly what I think made it great. I think we should have more movies that are not exactly looking like the last one. I think we got two shorts last year. One was the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. Tons of fun. Had a great time with it. And more so, one was Werewolf by Night. And I think that is the way to handle it. Werewolf by Night should not be looking like Ms. Marvel. And instead, they went with a black and white kind of Universal monster movie feel. And it was freaking perfect. It was perfect.
And while we're on the topic of things that I wish Phase 4 had done differently, I think the biggest mistake that Multiverse of Madness in particular made was forcing the multiverse angle in there rather than tying together Doctor Strange and the Monsterverse, the like monster corner of the MCU.
Yeah.
Because that's where Doctor Strange belongs. He doesn't belong in parallel universes and alternate timelines. He belongs in alternate dimensions from which like monsters and deities and so forth come. That was my biggest problem with Multiverse of Madness, was they were forced to put that Illuminati scene in when it didn't really have any bearing on the plot. In a better version, they would have doubled down on the Lovecraftian stuff, which I'm proud to say that Sam Raimi and I were kind of on the same page, because every other scene in that movie is very much a Lovecraftian horror comedy for kids rather than a cameo fest by way of multiverse, also starring Doctor Strange, like a lot of normies wanted.
Let's see. They took a favorite character of mine and destroyed him in film, says Professor Strangefinger. No respect for over 60 years of character history. Name more in case you and me, Bubba. We did it. We did a what was it? An hour and a half or 2 hour live stream on Movie Mojo. And It was that.
Yeah,
that
they did Namor dirty. They did Namor dirty. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I did not like that. My whole thing was Angela Bassett, and then after that, just click off. You saw the best part of the movie. That movie just wasn't good. It wasn't made well, and that's even before you get to the we're gonna mess up characters and so forth. It wasn't written well. It just wasn't a good movie. It wasn't a good movie. So we're gonna stay in the darkness, and then like 5 minutes later they're all on freaking Brooklyn Bridge. No, just that movie sucked. That movie freaking sucked. Oh, we're gonna go fight the freaking Atlanteans. Where? In the middle of the ocean. Are you freaking mental?
The one place, like, fly over to a freaking desert and fight them there. That's a much, like, fight them on the lip of a freaking volcano or something. There are better places to do this than in the middle of.
So we take our ship, yes, into the water, yes. Our enemy controls the water, yes. Great plan. Yes.
The people of Talocan draw power from water. Where are we gonna fight them? Oh, in the middle of the freaking ocean. Why not?
Now, Ash is saying I'm fine with stuff like WandaVision and Werewolf by Night. I hope they do an annual Halloween. Me too. Even if it's not Werewolf by Night, but maybe Tomb of Dracula, maybe a Man-Thing special by himself, maybe any of the Journey into Mystery monsters before Thor came along. I think that would actually be a lot of fun.
Yeah, build up basically to the Midnight Suns. I want that.
The rest of his quote, because last night I was called out for only reading half. It says, but they should remain on the fringe and not the mainstream. I think each individual hero or team or villain or whatever you're making a movie should dictate what kind of movie you're getting. So if it is a Guardians of the Galaxy, okay, make it a cosmic, put it in a comedy, go on ahead. Thor should not be a freaking comedy. It shouldn't be a Warner Brothers cartoon, which is what we got with the last Thor movie.
Yeah, Ragnarok was fine. Ragnarok was fine. It was Love and Thunder that turned that up to an 11 and completely crapped the bed because.
And by the way, when I say Warner Brothers
unsupervised.
Cartoon, I'm talking about modern day Looney Tunes, not the classic funny ones from the 1940s, 50s, and 30s. So, but they destroyed the hero because they didn't understand the tone. Even Ragnarok, that had a sense of humor, wasn't 100% a comedy. And they just, I'm sorry.
Well, I think Thor has been mismanaged from minute one because he shouldn't have been a freaking alien. It shouldn't have been Arthur C. Clarke style. Oh, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Bullshit! In the Marvel Universe, magic is an actual thing. Deal with it.
Yeah, but I think they backed off on that point, though.
And good for them. What I'm saying is Thor has always had issues translating because it should have been a mythical / cosmic opera where you went from you went through the different dimensions of the Yggdrasil tree. Instead, what we got was ancient aliens plus Arthur C. Clarke, and that was bullshit. Which they kind of fixed, but then again, they fell off another cliff by allowing Taika Waititi to be unsupervised. Because that's the thing. He did not write Ragnarok alone. He had, much like George Lucas didn't write Empire, Taika Waititi had someone who was able to ground him in Ragnarok. And because it did massive gangbusters, they let him off the leash, forgetting that someone needs to keep him on the leash to get a good movie out of it. And that was the problem.
Patty Jenkins with Wonder Woman.
Yeah, the Patty Jenkins effect.
The first Wonder Woman, love it. One of my favorite superhero movies. The 1984, not so much.
Yeah, and therein lies a similar thing. Everyone forgot that Alan Heinberg was apparently fairly instrumental to why Wonder Woman 1 made worked as well as it did. And then when it came time for the second one, you were the director of the last one, so obviously you're the secret sauce. Oh no, that's definitely not the case. Oh dear.
Yep. Yeah. I'm hoping things pick up. I mean, I didn't hate Ant-Man, but I could see why a lot of people did. You know, it's one of those things. I enjoyed some of the scenes. There were some of the scenes I didn't care for. It was just it would probably be mid or maybe lower mid for me if I lined them all up. But I could see why people are not excited about 5 just based on 4. And I don't think I hated 4 as much as a lot of people. What was there was WandaVision, and then there was what was it? Loki came out, and Falcon and the Snowman.
Winter Soldier.
I enjoyed Loki, and I enjoyed Wanda. I loved WandaVision. Falcon and
Winter Soldier was terrible.
Yeah, it was not good. What else? Black Widow. Black Widow is parsley.
Meh.
Yeah, it was just. It was.
Eternals deserves to have someone castrated. Because
then there was Shang-Chi, which I enjoyed, but I didn't think was great. Gail actually liked it better than I did. Eternals, I actually liked more than everybody else, but I saw the biggest flaw in it was of Captain Falcon and the Winter Snowman. He was that should have been a movie. That should have been a movie. Eternals should have been a 10 or 15 episode TV show. So you could do the characters properly. So you could actually have time to expand their world and universe. And purpose.
No. Because if they kept it to the same tone, that would still be a problem. Because the biggest problem with Eternals was, despite the fact that both Guardians movies did really well, despite the fact that that Thor Ragnarok did really, really well, despite the fact that Suicide Squad 2 worked really well for the opposition, despite the fact that Shazam worked really well for the opposition, they didn't double down on the cosmic weirdness like they should have. They didn't make the most Kirby of any of Kirby's IPs Kirby-esque.
And yes,
they went in the exact opposite direction and made it this self-serious Oscar bait crap that was trying to rip off Denis Villeneuve and Christopher Nolan.
It needed to be bigger, and it needed to be more colorful and more Kirby. I will give you that much. Then what did we have? We had, didn't we have another TV show, or was it just straight up Spider-Man?
What if?
Spider-Man? Oh, fuck, what if?
I don't understand your hatred for that, to be honest with you.
Horrible. It was a bad show. It had 2 good episodes. I'll say 2 good episodes. The Marvel Zombies and the what's her name? God damn it. What is her name? The Captain Britain one. Peggy Carter.
Captain Carter.
Yeah, Captain Carter. Those were the only 2 good
I
episodes.
disagree with you. But I think the 2 best ones are the Dark Doctor Strange one, and then the finale where they're fighting Multiversal Ultron.
It's good, you know. You can be wrong, but yeah.
No, I think in this case it's you who are wrong, sir.
No. Well, it's not an opinion. It's just a fact. I'm right about this. What if
you are incorrect? I'm afraid.
Yeah. I do know we also got Hawkeye, and I enjoyed the hell out of that show. I loved that show.
Yeah, Hawkeye was fine, and they managed to un-SJW Kate Bishop, so I didn't like.
It's a hell of a lot better in the comic, for damn sure. And then we had Ms. Marvel, which I had a lot of fun with that as well. Spider-Man was good. Spider-Man was great in my opinion. And then we had Black Panther, which.
You missed Multiverse of Madness.
And the Multiverse,
which was good, but I could see the problems people had with it.
Mm-hmm.
At least some of the problems, not problems that resulted from not watching the freaking movie you're claiming to watch.
Well, I enjoyed it, but then a month or 2 later, a movie comes out made for half the budget that shows you exactly really what you can do with the multiverse.
Yeah,
but kicked its ass.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and I will die on this hill every time I possibly can. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was not a multiversial movie. It was a Lovecraftian horror comedy with multiversal elements. Me and Sam Raimi were on the same page. The important part of the title, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, was the Doctor Strange part and the of Madness part, which implies Lovecraftian stuff in the same vein as John Carpenter. And that's basically what we got. What a bunch of people got pissed off with was that it wasn't a direct sequel to No Way Home, and it wasn't a cameo fest also starring Doctor Strange in the background. It was a Doctor Strange movie and a Lovecraft movie by way of the Marvel Universe more than it was a multiverse movie. And
I liked seeing the Illuminati. I wish they had done something with the Illuminati. God damn it, Bird. I don't even notice, and sometimes I'll like, okay. But yeah, let me get Ash's comment here. Eternal shouldn't have been given to a woke DEI director that had no idea how to do a big action Hollywood blockbuster. I agree.
It shouldn't have been turned into Oscar bait is what it shouldn't have been.
I agree with that. And I will point to the fact some people love it now that the last time they did that, we got Ang Lee's Hulk. Some people hate that movie. I think it's cheesy fun, but that's just me.
See, I have to say I like it, but it's not a good Hulk movie. I think that if they applied that same level to a different character, especially given Ang Lee, given what we've seen from Ang Lee in his, kung fu movie wheelhouse, I kind of wish he had directed Doctor Strange, because I can guarantee you that with Ang Lee's kung fu and Eastern mysticism wheelhouse, that movie would have been better than what Scott Derrickson gave us. There probably wouldn't have been as good as what Sam Raimi gave us, but
since we're playing what ifs, Ang Lee's Iron Fist, please.
Oh my God, yes. With the freaking dragon this time. I want the guy. Yes, I want Shao-Lao. Please, for the love of God.
Ahsoka is saying Marvel What If had some good stuff. I like the Thor party one until the Captain Marvel showed up. Ronald, we just wanted to talk about the Marvels trailer. Now we're kind of just on phase 4 right now for some reason.
I liked when Captain Marvel showed up in the Thor movie or in the Thor episode of What If, because it showed the fact that to Marvel's credit, they didn't try to play her off as more sympathetic than she was. They showed exactly what fans don't like about her, and most importantly, they let Thor win. They let Thor beat her, and that was cathartic as hell.
Okay, and Ash is saying Ang Lee was perfect for the Hulk because it's an action film that's also a tragedy, and he's got a point there. He's got a point. Let's see, the people that got the most development from the movie was Wanda, and the Illuminati. They did nothing with them. That was the big problem to me. Isn't most of the Marvel universe just a Lovecraft universe style? Says Ronald Rugg.
I mean, no. There are plenty of street level heroes. There are plenty of science based heroes. There are plenty of mystical heroes who nevertheless don't delve into Lovecraftian stuff. Like Lovecraft and monsters and demons and magic are very much Doctor Strange's niche. Okay. So there's that. Also, in regards to it was Wanda's movies actually point those variety of actually people. The reason why Wanda got so much focus in Multiverse Madness is because the arcs that Doctor Strange and Wanda went on were mirrored. There was a reason why they borrowed the line from No Way Home again, in the grand calculus of the multiverse line, because the point of the movie, in context of Doctor Strange's arc of learning to let go and learning to not be an egotistical prick, was you can't treat people like pieces on a chessboard, Steven. The difference between Strange and Wanda in the context of Multiverse of Madness was Strange looks at Wanda and he sees what he could be like if he took in the grand calculus of the multiverse logic to its final terminus. And so he learns to not treat people like puzzle pieces or chess pieces. Whereas Wanda, buttressed by her own trauma and by the Darkhold, goes full tilt off into in the grand calculus of the multiverse territory. And unsurprisingly, it doesn't go well for her because she ends up alienating her own children.
Okay, I put up a poll. the teaser trailer for the Marvels. I think it looks good. I found it to be fun and entertaining. I'm looking forward to the movie now, which, by the way, I was not until I saw the trailer. Dalton, not so much.
I foresee this being Marvel's Birds of Prey, and I foresee this being probably the first and worst bomb in the entirety of Marvel.
But you don't like the way the movie looks, is what you're saying.
No, I also don't like the way the movie looks. The humor is off, the characterization doesn't work, and the characters, it doesn't seem to be selling the viewer on why they should like or care about these characters, and that's very important given the three characters we're working with.
Ash mentions the Wachowskis did the Matrix and Cloud Atlas. Cloud Atlas, in my opinion, is one of the most overlooked films.
Yeah, Cloud Atlas is pretty awesome. Now, granted, it was based on a really, really awesome book, so of course it was probably going to be awesome. But yeah, I also really like the movie a lot.
Me too. I thought it was,
especially Timothy Cavendish's bits when he's the publisher who gets tricked into going into a nursing home.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be my favorite segment.
I see a couple of people who haven't seen the preview yet, the trailer yet. Like I said, I thought it was fun. It's a teaser trailer, so it's not setting up story or anything like that. It's giving you an idea of plot, and yeah, like I said, I think it looks fun. I like Kamala Khan in it, and I think they weigh heavy on her, which makes it look more. I think the comedy is going to come from her, and I think since they put a lot of her into the teaser trailer, I'm hoping anyway that it looks like it's going to be more of a Lucy skit than it's going to be a Marvel movie. But yeah, still, once again, I like it. Let's be honest here. The Marvels, I see the clips we got being the best that are in the movie. No, that's not necessarily so. This is a teaser trailer.
Yeah, the trailers, for whatever reason, don't usually pick the best clips of the movie, and
it's a teaser trailer. What you're getting now is what they've got.
That the other thing is, the visual effects aren't rendered, and all three of them have very visual effects heavy powers, so there is some of that to be considered.
Yeah,
I still am foreseeing this being a bad movie, and I'm foreseeing this probably not doing well financially. But yeah, every movie's first trailer, especially if it's visual effects heavy, is incomplete.
Now, Jay's got a point here, because one thing also that I'll argue with people is I hear, there's too many that say there's too many superheroes, and I call that out bullshit. Once again, it's he's saying that it's the trailers. And that's one of the things. These are the big movies, so they get the big marketing. So you don't see a lot of
trailers. You don't
see a lot of previews for the Pope's Exorcist, but you'll see a shit ton of previews for the next DC movie or the next Marvel movie or the next superhero movie, no matter who it says.
Which, by the way, I want to see the Pope Exorcist so bad. It looks very, very good.
Me and Gail kind of threw up the Jolly Roger last night.
Yeah, beat me to it, damn you.
There will be a review. Yeah, so there you go. E. Michael says it looks okay. Yeah, there you go. Let's be honest here. The movies I see, okay, yeah, I read that one. But it's true when you're not necessarily getting a lot of superhero movies throughout the year. When you compare it to the amount of action movies,
but the hype drum never really stops beating because.
But and that's the thing. You get the big push for Shazam, which leads into the big push for Guardians, which leads into the big push for Flashpoint, which leads into the big push for Aquaman or whatever the next one is.
Which leads into the big push for the Marvels, which leads into the big push for Captain America: New World Order, which is a terrible title.
It's kind of this big loop of superhero movies. And once again, Kevin Feige, who, frankly, I've been kind of going off on every time we have these discussions. I think it's time for him to go, maybe. He's mishandled it. He's trained the audience. He's mishandled the audience. This should never have been considered a franchise. Marvel is not a franchise. Marvel is a studio. He even called it a franchise. He shouldn't have. It's a studio. And so we hear, oh my gosh, Marvel over the last 15 years has produced 30 movies, or that's not a lot, guys.
Yeah, and
Look
how many
movies
has Disney overall,
or
excluding
Warner
Marvel, made?
Brothers or Paramount or
yeah.
any of the other movie studios? They've done way more than 30, but Marvel gets hit because they've done 30. It's no, I'm sorry.
Most of which have been at least semi-successful.
And not bad. Really count.
That's what I mean by semi-successful.
Okay, but I was thinking money, you were thinking quality. But think about how many good versus bad movies that Marvel has produced. They're on the winning side. They've got a winning record there. But
yeah, by my count, which is the more harsh count, there are 10 bad ones, there are 14 good ones, and there are, I believe, 7 meh ones currently. And that's not counting the shows. I
think I would count just movies. I would probably count 2 or 3 actual bad, maybe 4 or 5 meh in the rest.
Yeah, that's why I gave mine first, because I knew I was going to be the harsh one.
Oh my god, that trailer! I think I just got my first menstrual cycle. Face blew up. It's a movie about 3 women, dude. You're gonna see femininity. Let's see.
Well,
I think
the biggest problem
just be put out on her ass. At least her character is Carol Danvers. She doesn't really do all that good as she shouldn't be Captain Marvel. She shouldn't be.
Rebecca Romijn probably should have been Captain Marvel. That would have been who I would have cast, or Ronda Rousey if they were going the physically more butch version of the character.
But
I don't understand why Hollywood doesn't try to do for Ronda Rousey what they did for Dave Bautista and The Rock. There are a lot of badass women she could play.
Yeah, but maybe she just doesn't have the chops. They ain't going to do it.
I mean, maybe, but what I'm saying is it doesn't even seem like they've tried to push. Like, they pushed Lady Gaga more than they push Ronda Rousey, and Now, don't get me wrong. What I've seen of Lady Gaga, I've liked in a lot of stuff, and I actually really like the idea of her being Harley Quinn in Joker 2. But
here's one thing: it's when Dave Bautista did the Man with the Iron Fists. I saw an article with him, and he says I went to I'm going to an acting coach. I want to start taking this serious. And when I saw an interview with him about Guardians of the Galaxy, he says, I really worked hard. I wanted to make sure this because I really want to have an acting career. Now you see him, he wants to kind of step away from the big guy roles so he could play just general.
He wants to be a character actor, which all the props in the world to him, both for his dedication to acting and for standing up for James Gunn when the cancel mob came for him.
And the thing is he's actually gotten good. If you watch things like the Hotel Armistice, if you watch things like Dune, what was it? Not Dune.
Knock at the Cabin?
No, Blade Runner. Well, actually, he was good in Knock at the Cabin as well. Blade Runner 2099, 2049, whatever.
2049.
Yeah, he was good in that as well. He had a small.
I mean, the movie wasn't good, but he was good in it. Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry. Let's see. Let's see. Maybe there isn't a market for badass women. There you go.
According to the feminists, you would think that, but unfortunately, no. It's badass women have been a thing since, at the very least, Sigourney Weaver, and like Sigourney Weaver's whole career would like to speak with you when you talk about there were no female action heroes before feminism.
Based cartoons and comics, are you sure it's dead? It might be doomed this week. It's always either doomed or dead. It's never,
there's some nihilism going on here. It never has a bad head
cold or anything like that. It never, it's that's why I titled this the way
that being said, I'm worried for DC, but that's mostly because DC dooms themselves. They can't seem to get their crap together.
If you said the Snyderverse is dead, yeah, okay, you can't argue with that. But
I mean, for crying out loud, I was vibing with the Blue Beetle trailer, and then they dropped the line, and I'm like, you couldn't stop yourself from putting your foot in your mouth for one movie, could you?
Well,
Damn it.
I did a live stream on that, and my whole thing was let's wait and see, because the character itself seems to be a conspiracy theory 1960s
Well,
guy.
the writers came out and said that he's going to wind up being vindicated in the movie, apparently. So
everybody's got an arc. Well, that Batman is in fact a fascist.
Or at the very least, his more cynical approach is going to be contrasted with Jaime's optimistic approach, and his more cynical approach is going to be vindicated. So, yeah, I'm calling it, regardless of whether it was a joke, regardless of whether it was a one-off thing, regardless of any of that, which again it isn't, according to the writers. Regardless of any of that, it was an optics fail, and DC simply cannot afford any more optics fails.
Oy vey. You know what?
At least until everyone calms down about the Henry Cavill thing.
I thought base cartoons and comics, I thought this was just the one you're going to troll me with. So, but he's saying I put it there because Biden said based is an extremist term. I have never, and in the last, since I started paying attention to politics, which was about 1980, it was yes, I was 10. If you want to do the math, I was 10 in 1980, and we were about to go into what was it? We had just gotten done with the gas crisis. I was hearing my parents complain so much. I wanted to know what they were complaining about, because the gas prices were high. We would hear about the Iraq crisis, so forth and so on, and I just started becoming more aware. But ever since I became politically aware, I've never seen such an anti-American president than Joe Biden, and such a divisive one as well. If you are not on the Biden left, not just if you are on the left, Dalton.
Yeah, I'm on the left. I can't stand Joe Biden. So
Dalton, you are an extremist. You are a white supremacist. You hate homosexuals. You absolutely, I mean,
even though I am in the process of being one.
It's just ridiculous.
Internalized homophobia herder.
That guy is. You're younger than my father, says Ahsoka. Well,
you're 8 years older. You're 8 years older than my mother. Apparently, she was born in 1978.
Okay. Now, Obama was more anti-American than Biden. Some people believe that Obama's getting his second presidency through Obama or Biden. I don't know.
Yeah, I doubt it, because if that were the case, I think he would have been the running mate. But no.
Biden wouldn't be vice president at all, unless they would find some sort of loophole so they could bump off Biden.
Or at the very least, like Michelle or somebody highly tied to the Obama administration.
Okay, well, we're getting into politics, so let's close this off, guys. Let me check out the results of the poll I put up, and so far looks bad is the highest with 57%. So people are more on your side than my side. 14% actually is the low vote, which is good, which is, I actually said I thought the movie looked good. So not a lot of people are agreeing with me. 29%.
So they either actively think it's bad or don't know which side they fall on.
Yeah, it was. Let me get those numbers again. 57% of the votes. No, well, there's only 7 votes, so we could take it the way you want. But and 29 were mid, and then just 14 were good. So there you go. All right, kids, there you go. That's our take on, I guess, not just the trailer, but phase 4. Let us know what you think as we post this up. It's always nice to get some comments after the fact, because it does help the algorithm. A lot of videos. I've actually broken down a lot of our longer videos into shorter videos. I'm going to be putting those out now. It's just the way it is. Some people jump on and late, or they only watch 25 minutes of a 3-hour video. So I figured let's get that out there. So
and come join us later tonight at 10 o'clock over on I Love Comics to watch us play the Marvel Universe role-playing game that we've been playing for a couple of weeks.
All righty. Just a little teaser. We will be going up against Electro. So lots of fun. All righty, kids. Thank you very much for hanging out. And as always, thank you very, very much for watching. Have a good night. Day. We're on day right here. Yes, day.